Hello, welcome to the stream today. So I'm joined by Jason at Barnabas Junction. Hello, Jason.
Hi, Andy.
How are we doing?
I'm doing fine, thank you very much. Been busy working on the layout.
So, do you want to show the viewers what you did last night with the stream and the static grass?
Yes, certainly can do. For those of you who have not seen my live stream I did last night, I've been using all of the WWS products, static grasses, the layering spray. Got some 30-gram packets of static grasses. I've been using autumn and summer. Just try and get that onto the screen. There we go. So I've been using various different grasses, and I've also been using this. For the first time, I've actually used a static grass, an official static grass applicator, instead of using my very own homemade one that is there. It's okay, but yeah, using one of the official branded ones. This is Pico Scenes one, but it's actually made by WWS. It's rebranded for Pico, and yeah, I've produced some. For me, it's beyond my expectations of my skill levels that I ever thought I would achieve. And with the help of a lot of tutorials from people like Luke Towin from Peaks 47 and WWS themselves, I've achieved some results here in this one little corner to start with of a big scenic project that I'm working on. And I'll take the camera over now. So bear with me while I shake you all over the place. Just grab the cable for the camera. So this is what I've been working on over here in this corner. I'll just pan you around. This is the whole area down this side of the layout. As you see, I've been busy over many months redoing this from its original construction of the rock face. The upper level line used to be all at the same height, but I've lowered it now on the far end of this layout, so it actually merges with the lower level, converges down here. Let's take you right round. So there you go. It's all 4 tracks on my layout now merge onto one level. But this is what I've been working on in this corner. This is the first part of proper, I would say, true scenic work. And using the static grasses, woodland scenics, foliage, some Chinese plastics trees that I've been working on as well. And I have excelled my expectations of skill level to achieve what I have actually achieved here. I'll just pan you around. You can see a blue area there. That is my attempt at creating a little lake in this scene. I'll just explain a bit about that in a moment. So, Andy's back in.
I'm back in.
So, yeah, this little lake area here, it's actually made, it's not dry. It's very cold up here in the loft with the weather conditions here in the UK. And it's done from PVA glue. Just take for a higher view. Excuse the shadow of the camera. That's actually PVA glue with a hint of blue paint added to it, acrylic paint. Take you for a bit of a closer look. And I've created like a muddy scene, and then right at the very far side of it, you can see a little bit of a rock scene underneath them conifers. So I'm quite pleased with how that's come out. Just a little tiny scene amongst it all. But yeah, I'm still waiting for that to dry. It's going to take a long, long time for that to dry.
Yeah, you need some warmth on that, don't you, really? Some
Yeah.
heat.
So I have been advised, try a hairdryer on it. But I thought the hairdryer might blow around the scenic stuff. It is all glued down. And yeah, I've excelled my skill levels from previous scenery that I've done here on the layout. So I will be revisiting a lot of the scenics that I've done previously now. This area here, this embankment, I've still to work on. I was looking at the fencing, how to apply the fencing now to this area, just beyond this footbridge for this centre area. People have advised me to put the fencing top and bottom. So that's looking like what it'll be, and then do it extremely overgrown and lots of more trees here in the front area, and to then bring it up to the main running lines here, which obviously are not ballasted at the moment. And
do you want to show?
Sorry.
Do you want to show the differences between the grass that you did last night and what you've done before with your own?
Yes,
so
certainly. So live on the stream last night, this section here, this mound, was static grassing I did about a year or so ago, and this was using a product by modeling materials and using my homemade static grass applicator. I thought, in my opinion, that was excellent results until I've now used this new static grass applicator and these WWS static grasses. And I did this shows how I can actually improve the area that I'd already done. This section here, you can clearly see there's a difference. You can see there's a line there. The light doesn't show it too well. There's a line there. That section between my two fingers there, I redid live on my stream last night using the WWS products, just that area there. I'll take you in for a closer look. Hopefully the camera will stay zoomed in. You can see the static grass, how well it works. There we go. It's captured it now. Yeah, and that was over the existing soil. So if I move it along, you can clearly see the difference of quality between the two areas.
You've gone from almost a two-dimensional texture ground to a three-dimensional, texture.
Yes,
you've got a lot more height, and it looks more natural.
Unfortunately, we are in a loft, so I do get posts. Annoying posts. I wish I could take them away. So I've tried to blend the post into the scenics, and that will now be continued on up to that footbridge. I will extend that mound. But this will also, in turn, be an overgrown feature, lots of buddleia, that sort of stuff going on here. And the little mound you can just see in the distance there on the left, sorry. I'll be doing that as well as along the track side. So yeah, I have tried to create, like I say, a three-dimensional view out of a two-dimensional layout, really, as you say. And one thing I am really proud of, and I did send some photographs to the Warley Club themselves for progress, is the view that I was trying to attempt to get. There we go. As you can see, the trees in the foreground are larger than the trees in the background. I'll try and take it in for an even closer look. Because what I was trying to develop was a view of forced perspective. Now, that is something that I've learned from visiting the club itself, from the guys at the club when we were able to back in some time ago. And I really, really wanted to achieve something along them lines myself. And I think looking at that, there is a dirt track there, and you can see it rises up over the mounds and then disappears into the woodland, the conifer woodland in the background. I think I have managed to achieve that forced perspective. I don't know what other people think.
You've definitely got some depth there now. It looks like it's going back a lot further than it actually probably does.
Yeah, the distance from the centre of the track that's just in front of us to the very furthest back conifer is only 12 inches, would you believe?
Scary, isn't it? You've really got that depth there.
It looks a long distance away, but in fact, it's only a foot.
So it just shows what you can do with a bit of imagination with a small space, and
yeah,
you can really get a lot of depth on the layout.
Indeed, and I'm hoping to obviously replicate that kind of scene around many areas now of the layout, especially when we look at where this current 158 is. That there, I am in a loft, so I've got an apex of the roof. As you see, it's sloped roof. It's quite a steep slope, to be honest. And behind that 158, I've created. I'll just move it along a little bit. There is quite a bit of depth there to play with, and I'm hoping I can achieve that same perspective of depth along that upper line. So when people are looking, when you're looking from this kind of view here, you get a real sense of distance.
Good. So we're going to get a similar sort of thing with, some more trees extending that along, or are you going to look for something different?
Yes, I will be continuing on. As you see, there is like undergrowth just to hide the join of the roof to the hillside. So that's done small purposely to try and make it look like a small hedgerow.
Okay.
It's a small hedgerow. It's a big hedgerow, but seen from a distance. So it looks like small. So I'll be continuing that all the way along behind there, up to that other corner over there. And I'll just bring the camera now back over to me so I can show some of the products that I'm going to be using or have used to achieve the depth. And it just shows how relatively cheap you can produce that effect. I've got where are we now? Right, so here we go. So these are plastic china trees, that's what I call them. The conifers, this will give you a sense of how small actually these conifers are, and I'll get something to give you an example what I've got to show. A Stanley knife. Right, so I've got a craft knife here. Typical craft knife. That's how small the conifers are in that back of that distance. They are tiny. They're only, that must be 4 centimeters high, something like that. But that visual effect makes them look like much bigger. If I take the knife, they're almost the same size as a knife. That's the kind of depth I was trying to create.
Absolutely. It just goes to show if you use, some of this, when you buy like seafoam, if you're using the trees in the right place on the layout, you can really get good effects. And you can use all the parts of it. You're not just throwing bits away, because you can create that depth by using the smaller bits at the back and just thinking about what you're doing really more than anything.
One one thing that people need to remember is when they're modeling trees come in all different shapes and sizes. There is no scale, there is no gauge, what we ever call them on trees. Trees can be tiny, medium, ginormous. So I've got all different sizes. So there's the conifer. I've also got an even tiny tree, and I've got a large tree. So you can see the huge difference in trees. Some people might say, well, they're N-gauge trees. Well, they're not. No. In my opinion, they're any gauge, any scale trees. Because if you do this, oh, sorry, wrong way, they become the same.
Yeah.
So
it's all down to your imagination and again, a lot. I know I say it's a lot, but look at nature. Look at go outside and walk around and look how nature works, and that's what we're trying to replicate on our layout.
Yeah, we can go out and about in this current climate. Go out, go into the countryside, go and look at your local environment, the area where you live. Just go and
local
photograph some
parks,
bushes, trees, things like that, and just try and replicate that. That's as easy as it is.
absolutely. So, what else have you been up to other than the static grass?
Well, I've said we've been doing with the fencing. I was looking. I've just grabbed a product here, as well as the grassing. What I also got is this is another WWS product. This was purchased for me for Christmas. It's a Footbridge. Now, initially, I was going to put that on there because I wanted a Footbridge, but when I got it out, I didn't actually want to destroy it because I needed to make it my own style. So I've been working on a Footbridge. This is brilliant. I'll agree on that. This is a laser card kit. It's very strong in the boarding. But once it's out, it's quite fragile. So I didn't want to kind of dismantle that yet because I have got another plan for another Footbridge elsewhere on the layout. But what I did come up with is something that I picked up from an exhibition when we were able to go to was this. Now, I don't know who made this Footbridge. I've no idea.
Dapple, isn't it?
Let's get it on the camera. But that's it. That's it in its full size. Ignore the green because I was just trialing something. But it came like that, broken. And I paid £1 for that in that condition, which I thought, I can't argue at that. Can't get much stuff for £1 these days. I had this brainwave that would look good here, where you've just seen it. And I'll just take the camera again because of the embankment. Just untangle my wire. You see there, the broken off end sits on the embankment.
So it fits the job, doesn't it? Perfectly, really.
Yeah, and that's cost me £1. It just shows that you can get stuff cheaply enough for your modelling. It will be getting sprayed up. I was trialing it with some acrylic paints, but it didn't quite work. It's originally been sprayed with silver aerosol spray. So that is going to sit, and it beautifully sits on the embankment. The height is perfect. And there's going to be a foot crossing coming down to this barrel crossing just here, and then over to a village scene on that side. So as well as doing static grassing, I'm looking still at the scenics as well. I've been doing some DCCing as well, some decoder fitting, little bits of bobs and jobs that I don't know if any other modelers, and you probably likewise yourself, Andy, you always end up jumping from job to job.
Yeah.
And the list of jobs you're working on ends up growing, and you get lost in half or quarter completed jobs, and you think, I need to get these finished, and there's that many, you think,
where do you start?
right, what am I going to do? So yeah, there's lots of little jobs that I've been trying to catch up on, as well as doing this kind of thing. That's obviously I'm in a loft. It's cold up here in the current weather, so I have got a heater, thankfully. So I've been getting up here whenever I can to do tiny little bits, and obviously keeping the layout maintained. When you're not running anything for a while, the track does get dirty, even if you're not running trains.
Yeah.
So you've got to keep on top of that, and just general maintenance of the layout. I have been mainly working on scenery, but yeah, lots of other little bits and bobs that I've been working on. Something that I'm looking at before I do carry on now with that scenic stuff, and this was an idea that was given to me yesterday on my live stream, and that is this wall. It is got like a speckle effect. It is wallpapered up here, and that was to add maybe some, instead of putting a back scene on it, because I've not had much luck with back scenes on this wallpaper. It doesn't like sticking to it. And that was try and create some like cloud effects.
Yeah.
Maybe get a sponge and dab little clouds onto the blue, because it was painted blue purposely to give it a sky scene. But yeah, I'm thinking maybe just low level, bit of distant clouds. So that'll be something I'm looking at. I've got an absolute wealth of paint lying around everywhere. But after this long, it's usually nice and tidy up here. But us modelers, when we're truly into the grip of things, everywhere everything gets an absolute
covered.
If anyone says they have got a tidy layout, that means they don't do anything on it, in my opinion.
Absolutely. They haven't even started.
No. But yeah, lots of things in the pipeline. I've had a new loco arrive. It's not even been out of the box yet.
What you had? Come on, I've got a new loco I can share as well.
Right,
So
bear with me while I'm going to grab it then. Ooh. So it's the all new TPE 68 from Dapple.
Very nice.
This is Achilles. This one is, and I say it's not even been out of the box yet,
hasn't it? Oh, yeah, it's a bit of an exclusive then for us.
Yeah. So, there she is.
Very nice.
Yeah, I absolutely love this Transpennine livery. It's the DR. For those I am a huge DRS fan. I plug that everywhere. But I always thought the DRS livery suited the 68s, because that's primarily what they were originally brought up on. But now they're in Chiltern, ScotRail, and obviously the Transpennine Express livery. So take off the fantastic packaging. Detailing pack. What's in the detailing pack? We got the plows, skirts for the front, more couplings, lots of piping to go on the front. Now, that's something I don't know about yourself, Andy. Do you find you don't put them on, or just leave them in the box?
I try and fit them at one end. So the running end where I'm going to have the coupling, I don't bother. But the end that's normally at the front of the loco, I try and fit the detailing pack. But you got to be so careful because they ping off so easily. So it
just
depends
seen
how it's been handled.
Just seeing a comment there from Milsey on the YouTube. What era is the layout? Would love to see some running shots. The layout primarily started at 80s into the 90s with the privatization, with BR Blue into Intercity, Swallow, and then into Virgin Trains. But as time's gone on, it's become more modern image. With the 66s, the DB, I won't mention there is a DB Schenker on the layout, but it is very, very modern. It is loosely based on Crewe, which is my hometown, the big railway industry town of the Northwest. The station is very, very loosely based. I've tried to incorporate a lot of the features that the station here in Crewe does have in my own kind of way. I could say it's probably 80s up to present day. I have Pendolinos, I have HSTs, I have Class 90s. I'm just looking up now. I've got the Euro Phoenix, I've got Flying Scotsman. Everyone's got a Flying Scotsman. I've got 350s, I've got 158s, 66s. I'm just looking around 20s, 57s, 47s, 50s. So it's a bit of everything, really. And this probably is my most modern train that I have actually got, is the TPE 68 now.
Yeah, it's quite scary. I keep saying modern image, but my modern image is 80s and early 90s. So that's not very modern now, is it really?
No, it's becoming more of the heritage era now, isn't it?
I'm probably closer to. In fact, I'm closer to the end of Steam than to now. At the end of the 80s.
Yeah. So there she is, first time out of the box. Achilles. It's 68023, and it's an absolute stunning livery.
It's a striking livery, isn't it?
Yeah, really stands out from the crowd, this does. And I have seen them many a times here in Crewe. As DRS is local to myself as well as all the other train manufacturer companies. And I do love it. It hasn't had a chip in it yet, but it will be properly fitted. And I'm looking at fitting sound in this. I have fitted sound in one already, and that was done for a friend. It's now gone on to them. I've purchased it for them and fitted sound for them. That's gone on. I have got a video of that being done, and the sound I had was from Roads and Rails.
Okay.
And I have to say, fantastic, absolutely fantastic sound decoder. It's really, really got some quality audio on it. But yeah, there is a lot of major differences between this 68 and the original one that Dapol released. Most strikingly of all is the brake discs, the color of the brake discs on the loco. You can see the brake discs on the original 68s that they released. That didn't feature on them. That was an added one with the second batch of the DRS liveries. Just taking in for a closer look.
Looks much better, doesn't it? Just desperately needs a bit of a wash of a black wash on them wheels.
That's something I'm really, really scared of doing, is doing any weathering on any very expensive new models. If I do anything, I'll probably go on some of my older stuff before I even attempt the newer stuff.
You need to be brave. Have a
go. The layout is right. I say it's not got a decoder in it, so you get the usual buzzing.
Buzzing.
But I can actually, if I put it on the very far track, like the 158 is, that is, because I am, my layout is by, what's the word? It's DC and DCC. I've got the 3 lower level lines are DCC. They're fully connected to the DCC controller. The upper level is connected to an analog controller. It's actually a HM Clipper, one of the old trusted controllers, which a lot of modelers who operate on DC absolutely love. They're like bricks. They live forever.
Yeah.
So yeah, my upper level is DC, but it will eventually have the ability to transition between DC and DCC. That was part of the reconstruction I did over this back area here, where it brought the lower level down. It is connected, although it's isolated, but eventually I will put switches in to switch it from DC to DCC, so I can run the DCC trains onto the upper level line, which is currently only DC.
We've got a couple of questions for you, Jason.
Yeah, sure.
Are you going to go with the Mark Vs to go with it?
I would if I could afford them, basically. I do know someone who's having them, and I'm sure he's probably watching tonight, and he's probably thinking, yeah, they'll probably end up there, and that's Stuart. He has got them on pre-order already, and I'm sure if I twist his arm enough, he might let me borrow them for a short period of time. But as myself, yes, I would love them, but it's not something I can personally afford at the moment. So they are expensive, but in my opinion, well worth the money for what you get.
If Stuart's buying them and he's got no layout to run them on, because he'll never get past the baseboard, will he?
Yeah. Yeah.
So the chances are they'll be running on your layout more than his.
Yeah, he needs somewhere to run them in.
He does. He needs to kick up the arse, to be fair. We also had a question about Hatton 66. What do we think about it?
Hatton 66. Now I got to see the pre-production model. I was invited along to the Hattons because it's only up the road. It's only 40 minutes away from me. I got invited up there a couple of years ago for a tour of the premises, and I got to see the pre-production model of the Hatton 66 and the pre-production model of the A1, or was it the A4? I can't remember now.
A3. Was it the first one?
It was A3. It's the big one.
Yeah,
I'm not really up on my Steam. Really, truly, I'm well behind on my Steam. I'm quite up on me diesels and electrics, but Steam, I'm very, very. an extreme novice on knowing all the codes and numbers for them. But yeah, I got to see the pre-production model of the 66, and I was blown away by the sound, the product itself, and it didn't actually have the full detailing kit on it at the time. But I have since seen at exhibitions prior to the lockdown further examples of the 66s, and again, I was blown away. Unfortunately, there has been a few issues with some of the products, but hopefully, fingers crossed, they will rectify them over time. But yeah, indeed, it is a quality model, that I will definitely say. But there are some people who have had issues. Unfortunately, there's more with issues than not with issues. If you're lucky enough to get one that has got no issues, you're onto a winner. They're well worth the money.
I've got one here.
You got the large logo.
Yep, I've had it for 3-4 weeks now.
I did have one here. New Durham Junction, Craig, New Durham Junction did send his large logo one over. He hadn't actually properly ran it in at all, and he sent it over to visit. But unfortunately, when I got it out on the track, I did pick up on a few problems. He did have a wobble, but he has since found out, and actually a lot of others I've found out how to rectify the wobbles. It's all down to the axle boxes, the spinning axle boxes. In the manufacturing process, I think what it is basically the axle is not properly centralized in the axle box. So if it's not dead center, you will get a wobble.
Yeah.
The simplest cure for them, but it means doing away with the spinning axle box, is literally just snip off the axle box, glue it on, and the wobble goes, it vanishes. But bearing in mind, if you do that, you void your warranty on the product. So better off speak to Hattons if you do have any issues with them.
I'm scared to have to put the top back on mine because I'm breaking all the parts off. That's why it's in 2 pieces still.
Craig, it's true. To be honest, Craig did actually ask me to take it apart and have a go at fixing the wobble for him, and I thought, no, sorry, I haven't got the nerve to take somebody else's loco apart to do a repair on it, knowing it's under warranty and that he's not really ran it, and for me to then possibly go and break it. So I did let him know, and I said I'll send it back to you. Says I'll let you do the repair if you wish to do it. It's not for me to do, but yeah, they are very, very delicate.
They're delicate. I've had to glue a few parts back on mine. When I opened the box, there was a slight rattle, but compared to some, I don't think I've got away quite lightly. But it's been sat on my shelf above my computer for, like I said, 3 weeks.
Yeah, the dreaded rattle of a brand new box.
I know, and it's like I want to put the top back on because I fitted a DCC chip in here, but it's a bit scary at the moment to try and get the top back on without breaking the steps off again.
Being very, very careful with it. So, talking of, actually, let me just grab my very first Apple 68. Where is it? Oh, here it is. So this is the original 68 that Apple released, the first batch. Now this was subject to the livery error, and this was rebodied with the correct livery alteration on it. But I did have overall issues with it, and you're talking about things rattling in the box. There was a couple of things on this that were loose, i.e. some of the pipe works, which is pre-fitted, which you normally would get in the detailing box. Some of the pipe work was it fell off, but just thankfully just slotted back on. But I'm trying to remember now which side was it? Oh right, yeah. Is it that one? Or is it that one? No, the biggest thing I found that come off these are the buffers. They are sprung buffers, but they're a different type of sprung buffer, in my opinion. I'm just trying to find out which which one is it? There's one of them, literally, it's that loose, you can just pull it off with your fingers. That's the one. There you go. I've just pulled the buffer out. That's how loose they are. And many a times, this will be operating around the layout. If it does happen to derail and catch up, impact with maybe some of the wagons or coaches, I very regularly lose the buffer. I don't want to glue it in because it is a sprung buffer, so I don't know if there is a way that I can modify it so they don't fall out. Another big issue I had was with the couplings.
Droopy couplings.
Yes. Now, I did find a way of fixing it, kind of, without doing any damage. And I'm just going to grab the TPE one and see whether they've modified it. Yeah, that's got no droopy coupling. Let me have a look underneath as well. Yeah, that looks like they've improved that compared to the original one. Is where the coupling attaches. I haven't got the parts to hand at the moment, but I'll show you on this one. First of all, the coupling itself. Oh, let me just do it that way. That there at the bottom of the coupling, because they droop, and you can actually see it there. It is drooping a little bit. I found that the hook on the bottom of the hook always catching on my points.
Okay, because it's hanging too low.
Yeah, because it was hanging that low down, and it'd go along and it'd bash and it'd knock the train off the track because it was getting stuck in the point work. So I just got a pair of snips and just literally just snipped off about 1 millimeter, and that cured the error. But I have since had, and if you look at that end, there's no couplings mechanism on that end at all. Okay. If you look at this end, what I have found is if you look how it's, there we go. First of all, you'll see there's a little bit of black tape in there. That's actually holding the coupling into its socket because it does fall out. It was a little bit too big. That mechanism of it doing its rotation, I'm not sure whether it was a faulty one in my case, but it'd be interesting to know if anybody else has got the same issue. There's let me just get a pointer, something to point with. And I'm trying to do this by looking at the camera. Behind there, there's a little point. I don't know if no, it won't show it. That's where it rotates to create it. Ooh, hook. Come on, hook, drop down. So it pivots out, in and out. Ooh, where's the camera? So it pivots in and out. So you see it comes further out as it goes towards the buffer. That's so it does that. Now, the issue I've had is that little point has worn away, thus creating a jagged piece of plastic, and my coupling was getting jammed and not moving. You literally had to push it down to free it. But when it's under tension with a load, it was getting stuck.
Yeah.
So I'd end up with a solid coupling on corners, and it would literally drag stuff off going around corners. So I've got to get in touch with Dapple with a replacement, because that's why it's not on that end at the moment. I've taken it off. I have done it on shown it on a video some weeks ago about that problem, and I'm still yet to get it fixed. But yeah, that is probably my biggest issue so far with these 68s.
But Oliver's saying, is this maybe an argument for separately fitted parts in a pack for the owner to fit?
Yeah. Now, I say we get these packs here. A lot of people do moan about their models not looking detailed. And that's one of the reasons why Dapple went ahead with all that detailing pre-fitted to the 68s, because he wanted them to look that extra special straight out the box. But I think, in my opinion, the better option is have a detailing pack.
It's up to you then.
It's up to us then.
Okay, Peter's saying a little bit of glue on the end of the buffer might sort the problem out.
Yeah, the only issue with is the type of glue that you would use, because
It's painted, isn't it? Painted surface.
yeah, if you apply glue to some of the plastics on these models,
Try a bit of maybe
yeah,
that.
the glue.
Try it on somewhere where you can't see in case.
Yeah, the glue will actually make the plastic of the model go white.
Yeah.
So you've got to be really careful. If it's in an unseen area, then maybe that is an option.
Absolutely.
I like the fact that the detailing comes pre-fitted. As a novice modeler, I'm worried about getting glue all over my new model. Yes, that is. See, that's the argument that modelers get. They'd like to get pre-fitted detailing on their models straight out the box. But then there's some modelers who find that the pre-fitting detail causes more of an issue, because if I bought this fully pre-fitted with all that detailing part, but when I opened it, all of it had fell off, would I class that as a manufacturing fault and have to get it sorted? Or is it better to buy it without it and fit it yourself, and then not risk that you've got detailing parts missing because they fell off? It's an argument which I think will live forever. I don't think there'll be any actual resolve on that matter.
Yeah, the problem is the more detail you put on the front, the more it gets away in the way of the couplings as well. So you end up fouling all parts with the couplings.
It's funny you should say that, actually, because as well as cutting off that clip, I did actually have to trim. I don't know if you can see. You can just see where there we go. You can just see how the pipe work. I'd actually trimmed off a little tiny bit of that pipe work as well.
Yeah, just to,
because that was catching on it. It was actually, if I push it up, you can see it's touching it. Now, I had to trim off a little tiny bit so it didn't catch on it. I'll just have a look at the TPE one, actually, see if we can compare it. No, actually. Yes, actually, I can see it now. So, Dapple have actually gone ahead and made changes to the production model, because if you look at this TPE one, the pipe work is already pre-trimmed. Yeah. And you can see how far that sticks down as well. So that will be getting trimmed off initially. But if we look at the opposite end, which is the non-coupled end, because it's not fitted, you can see
a lot more detail.
A lot more detail, and the pipe work comes down. Let's see if I can get that so go focusing a bit better. Whoop. Pipe work actually comes down. Come on, there we go, and curves. It actually curves around and back on itself. So on the end that's got the coupler on it, that doesn't do it. It's already pre-trimmed. But on the non-coupled end, the pipe work, the detail comes all the way down. So if I wanted to add a coupler to that end, I would actually have to trim that pipe work off.
Good. So can we have a guess at what I bought?
What you've bought? Well, I know you've been working busy on the layout there in the conservatory. So what have you bought?
Oh, it's something I wanted when I was 7 or 8.
Really?
And it's something I've never, ever had and always wanted.
A Thomas.
A Thomas. The new Batman one. It's a lot smaller than the Hornby version. And I thought, what the heck? I'm going to treat myself. I think it was about 55 quid.
So is that a fully operational model, is it? Or is that just a display model?
It's a fully operational model. It's got moving eyes, apparently, so the eyes move going along. I've got a Batman DCC decoder to put in here.
Hang on. Yeah, then I've just got something for you. Let me just try and grab these. Bear with me. There they are. They're hidden away. Oh, come on out. Here we go. So you reckon? So you're saying the Batman Thomas is a little smaller?
I think it's smaller than because I remember seeing the original Hummer one, which is quite big. Yeah, this to me looks a lot smaller. I know, obviously cameras, but
It looks shorter, doesn't it?
It's not shorter, yeah. So it'd be interesting to get the two. I think Sam Strange's done a comparison of the two. So if you want to see the two, that person
as well.
But with the new layout I'm building, I thought it's a bit of fun, and you can get Thomas running for every so often. I need the coaches for it though.
Annie and Clarabelle.
You might have to lend me those at the show.
They've never been out of the box.
They've never been out of the box.
These belong to her.
Okay. But no, I thought it was a bit of fun. It's we're building this layout, this layout in the thing in my studio. It just gives it makes it a bit different.
It does. I'm just let me have a look now. I'm looking at any questions. I'm trying to look because obviously we are broadcasting. Well, you are broadcasting. Oh, hang on. Let me just turn that down. Broadcasting Facebook and YouTube at the same time, aren't we, Andy?
Absolutely.
Let's have a look. What questions people have been mentioning? Peter Gower. I've had issues with my intermodal wagons derailing. They have a piece of plastic that screws in which part of the coupling hooks onto and swivels. But I found in some cases it does jam, like on the Batman Mark 1s. I find taking it off the coupling can swivel around more and does improve a bit. I've seen that. Now, Alan of Dragon Junction had issues with his intermodals and he found a cure for it. I've had issues before as well with intermodals here. They don't like anything. To be honest, they don't like, in my opinion, they don't like third radius. Anything fourth and up is fine, but third and down they struggle dearly on. I have managed to run them around on here, but with a lot of manipulation, to tweak a few things to make him run, but not with much success. But Alan of Dragon Junction, he did a apparent fix on intermodals. So Peter, go check out Alan Dragon Junction. I'm sure you might find it of interest.
Definitely. The other thing I purchased, which is only just come out, is the new Rails of Sheffield CDU unit.
Yeah, I've seen that. That's produced by DCC Concepts, I believe.
It is. I spoke to Richard on the phone this week, DCC Concepts, and I only want a really basic point control system for the layout I'm building. I've gone with the Pico twist locks with point motors.
Yeah,
dead easy to do, really easy. You get I can find a scrap of paper somewhere.
Traitors Gate there saying, so which Thomas is correct? That is a big question. That is, which Thomas is correct? Traitors Gate says he has the same one I have, so he has the original Hornby model.
I think that looks too bulky. That's why I went with the Batman one, because I think it looks too big.
The Batman one you've got looks very much more like the same size as Percy.
I think it is. So it'd be interesting to see how big Percy is compared to Thomas.
There you go. Well, yeah, I wonder what the new Percy size is like. There you go. That's cold bunker to cold bunker. So yeah, it's a considerable distance. Now, is your Thomas 06? Is it an 060? 060?
It is an 060, yeah.
All right, yeah.
So just very, very tiny. I'm trying to find something that's comparison. So there's track cutters.
Curzon track cutters. Excellent kit.
So yeah, but yeah, going back to these twist lock point motors, there's the paper you get with them. So all you basically do is you get a template, which I've photocopied a couple of times.
Right, yeah.
Screw that to the baseboard under the put some masking tape under the track. You've got 2 holes there, and I can't do this back to front. It's hard.
Yeah.
You got I'm like I can't say what I want to say. But you got a hole there, a hole at the bottom, and a big hole in the middle. So you just drill the holes out on the board. Screw the little brass screws in underneath the board, and you just twist lock the.
They just go up and twist in, don't they?
Up and twist in,
and it's easy because you can take them off again if you ever need to. You don't have to go and screw it.
But I've used seeps in the past. I've used the Pico, the traditional Pico point motors, where you end up either screwing them to the bottom of the track, and then you have a big hole.
Yeah.
Or you're trying to line it up underneath. But these, it makes fitting a point motor take seconds. It really does take seconds.
And it's obviously it's probably easier for the generation of people not being able to get underneath baseboards as much. Having to get under there, trying to get under your board, screwing your solenoid motors or seeps in. Yeah, I can see there being a massive advantage of those.
Well, I've managed to do my layout in a day. I've laid out pretty much most of the track, apart from the bridge section. I've done all the track laying and the point motors in a day.
So are they still solenoid point motors?
They're still solenoid point motors.
Basically a seat inside a new design then.
Basically, yeah, just makes it simple, but it just means you get everything aligned. And I've got the those are for the polarity switch. So even with electric plug points, you can throw the power from side to side. And like I said, this arrived in the post today, so I'm looking forward to playing with this. But it's made by DCC Concepts, so we know it's going to be good quality. It's going to work. It's going to do the job you want it to do.
The question is, how many points is it able to operate? I've got the DCC Concepts CDU +2, which has the ability of, well, I think nobody's really managed to be able to test it to its full capacity. But I have been told it can throw simultaneously up to 40 points.
Okay.
Powerful.
I've only got 6 or 7 sets of points on the whole layout, so I think Richard said he could quite happily do 6 at the same time, if not more.
Well, I've got 16 on my layout up to now that are wired up, and that handles them without any issues whatsoever. It's more of the points maybe in the atmospheric conditions getting stuck, and I just have to manipulate them a bit. But for throwing purposes, my CDU +2 is absolutely fantastic. Proper quality products from DCC Concepts, and I highly recommend them.
Well, I think that costs £14, which is not a lot of money really for what a CDU.
Yeah, my CD was £30, I think it was. I got that from an exhibition 3 years ago, I think it was now, and it's still like new, stands the test of time.
There you go. So it's an investment really, but it is. It'd be interesting to see how well it works and how it, interacts with the Pico point motors.
For those that are listening, don't understand what a CDU is. In my opinion, it's what saves your points from blowing up. It's the biggest bit of financial improvement you can do to a layout when it comes to solenoid or seat motors, things like that. Because if you operate them without one, your point motors will very, very quickly burn out because you're not holding back the permanent voltage or charge to the point motor. If you're using a CDU, it holds the charge in capacitors, and then at the flick of a switch, it will send a voltage charge to the motor and flick it like that, and then cut it off completely. So you've not got the permanent power going to the motor. A lot of people back in the days did have a lot of problems with that sort of issue, and it did put people off. But with the introduction of CDUs, it's totally eliminated that problem.
Yeah. You should get a better a better changeover as well, because it's a sudden sharp input of power. It'll throw a lot better as well. So you'll get that nice click and it'll off it goes. So no, that's looking forward. I'm looking forward to playing with that. So if I can get my camera to work, I'll plug it in.
Just have a quick drink.
I can show you around what I've been doing.
Tell you what, I'm just going to move some stuff out of the way, and if anyone wants, they're quite welcome to have a quick tour around the layouts if they want. You just have to bear with the mess. That's all I can say. It's a typical layout. So I think I've got plenty of cable length for taking the camera around.
I haven't got much cable length on mine. I've only got mine on the tripod, which is...
I've got an extension cable, 3 meters, so I can take the camera all the way around the loft.
Oh, that's my next investment, to be fair, is a longer cable.
Just quickly, I'm on about the pool area I created over there. That's what's left of my pool mix that I made.
You paint.
With the paint.
I've been thinking about it since last night. If you let it dry, you could stipple some different, some browns and greens onto the surface, and then go back with a clear PVA on top, so you get the depth.
Feel it, just tilt the camera down, and you can see it's still running.
It's still running.
That over there, my little pond area, is not as deep as that. You can see how deep it is in that pot. It's literally just a skim over, really, on there, and that's not dry. So when I know that's dry, I know that's dry.
Absolutely. So I'll quickly show you the station area, if I can.
Okay.
What I've been up to. Press the wrong one. You can tell I'm good at this, can't you?
You're better than me. I've completely forgotten how to do it these days. There we go.
There you go. So that's the station area. So as you can see.
Put your images into widescreen, Andy.
The what?
Click them so that the windows, the video the screen windows are in widescreen. There we go. So we can get a good overview then.
There you go. So what I've got the Wills Pico warehouse units, which I've built and painted. I've now started to fit the Magna Rail system in. So I'm waiting on the plastic for the top. So I spoke to Richard at Everard Junction, and he started off with the photo paper. But what he's done since is he's got some 0.5 plastic sheet that you use on quick cut machines, and he's experimented with that, and you get a nicer surface on the road. So I've ordered some of that to play with. So I've got the Pico platform edging with Slater's plastic hard worktops. So paving, scale model scenery, warehouse units, which I showed last week. Again, scale model scenery, the office. If you go along,
who produced that post office building?
The Royal Mail one.
Yeah,
that's a Wills modern warehouse.
That's
so I painted it myself, airbrushed it myself. Those are just photographed, Royal Mail printed on my laser printer and stuck on, which you can see a bit of red on. So I could do with going around with some red felt tip pens and just tidy that up, really. But it's getting there. And then you go along.
How long is that stretch?
Just over 3 meters, 3.1 meters long. But I've got the video on at the end. This is where I'll probably go the wrong way. I know, I'm going the right way.
There we go. So I like that the Magna Rail system's going to go under the bridge and then up.
Yeah, so the idea is the Magna Rail will go along along the end, under the bridge, under the arch bridge, the girder bridge, round the other side, around the back, and then in the footy yard, I've got a 108 parcels train with CCT and a Mark 1 BG. I've got I've got a couple of nuclear flasks, a couple of Mark 1s. But the idea is I can run a passenger service in and out. I can run a parcel service in and out. I'll probably extend the footy yard slightly for when I go to NEC. If you go to NEC, just so I can put slightly longer trains on.
So it's a single track, is it?
No, it's going to be a double track.
Oh, right.
But the one this side is going to be I'm going to use bullhead track. Okay. So this side's going to be a mothballed line. Right. So the idea being I can do a disused line, overgrown, not used anymore, very rusty. And then the idea is it's been just turned into a single track bi-directional line to give it a bit more interest. And where you got the track set there, I'm going to have another piece of track going off. So just there.
Yeah.
So that's going to be another piece of bullhead track that's going off to another disused line. So the idea is it was part of a busy junction.
Beaching had his way.
Beaching had his way. And he closed it. And the only reason the concrete track is there is because it's serving the Royal Mail office.
Right, got you.
But it also enables me to run, as a preservation as well, because I could run that as a preservation station with the occasional parcel service. It's just lots of ideas. It just gives me ways of doing different things and try different techniques and play.
Martin at Traitors Gate Model Railway is saying he used thick photo paper for his Magna Rail system.
Okay. That's what Richard used, to be fair. Yeah. And the problem with that is it's the photo paper. You normally get A4 sheets, so you've got lots of joins.
Yeah.
So the stuff I've actually got the stuff. It come again. Something else that arrived this morning, but it's just over a metre long. The sheets of plastic are, so I can get away with having less joints.
Right. Just going back to Thomas the Tank Engine, actually, Peter Gowers just said that Batman's version is based on the TV model. The Hornby's version is based on the actual loco the characters are based from. Right.
That's interesting, isn't it, really? So I suppose me going back to my 80s childhood, it'd be the Thomas series with Ringo Starr.
Oh, yeah, absolutely the best series. CGI rubbish now.
The CGI is naff. But yeah, I suppose that's my influence. Is the Batman version is the smaller version.
So we've had a quick look at that. Let me get myself up so I can try and keep an eye on the screen at the same time. So please, Andy, I will tell you now, yours is a lot tidier than mine.
I tidied up this morning.
Right. So that's the corner there that I've been working on with the scenes. You can see this layout is roughly 14 foot by 14 foot, with this side here being 2 foot across. This side here, which has recently been had a rebuild, the section across the bridge section there. I don't know if it's still in shot. I'm trying to look at the camera at the same. This bridge section here, that is 18 inches. This section here is still 2 foot. That's been extended out recently. And then if I can bring my wire, hang on, I don't want to disconnect the camera. There we go. So if I bring the wire, we've got over this side, we've got where we go from the countryside and we go over the bridge, and then we meet up with the industrial side of the layout. And starting off, we've got the exhibition layouts, kind of Barnabas Junction. This is a completely separate section to the layout. This whole TMD that you see here, it's 6 foot by 2 foot across. That can be completely separated from the layout. That can be unscrewed. It's got 2 screws holding it to the main layout. It's got plug connectors. I can just disconnect the wiring, and I can literally just get that whole TMD and slide it out into the middle of the loft if I need to get access to the back area. Because it is a loft, it does have storage cupboards in here as well. So occasionally I still have to get access to them. So this is the industrial side. We've got 4 tracks that come across the bridge, which I've recently done, and that will have some scenics going on there. I've put some stone pillars in just for the time being. That's a project for. It's one of them projects where you started it and you'll finish it later.
I like the APT, Jason.
Sorry?
I like the APT.
Oh, yes, the APT, the good old APT. That's the original Mark 1 model from Hornby without the bandana on the front. If I can take you over to the other side, it might be a bit better view. There it is. So it hasn't got the black bandana on the front. It's the full yellow front. It's the 5-car set. That was bought second hand. It doesn't have the pantograph on it, unfortunately. That was bought second hand as a non-runner. But within 10 minutes of me getting it here on the layout, it was whizzing round. That was a present from the wife. She, as I know, I am from Crewe, and that's where the APT is, and the Heritage Centre in Crewe. And I have been throughout the entire train, and unlike a lot of people, I have been through the power car as well. I've been inside the power car, which is not open to the public. So yeah, APT, that's just stored there out of the way because it can't be disconnected, because it's a bugger to separate and to reconnect when you need it. So like I said, the very far line is the DC line, and we've got the 2 crossovers, one there and one just behind there, so it connects to the DC-C track. They are isolated. And we come round and through the industrial area, which has got a lot of work to be done on it, but that's probably going to be looked at later in the year, once I finish the countryside scenics. So there's the TMD. I'm not sure if you can see that clearly because I can't see the screen at the moment.
Yes, you can see very good.
Yeah, so it's a 2-shed TMD with 2 fueling points in it as well. The access into the TMD is from this single track here, which connects to the main layout in the station area. Through that point work there. It's a 4-platform layout station. Just take you back to the TMD briefly though. So we've got the single track that runs in there. And then there's a point work which takes you into that shed there, which is
that a laser lines?
Sorry?
Is that laser lines?
Yeah, railway laser lines. Absolutely fantastic piece of kit. Very sturdy. And I have modified it though. This originally was part of an exhibition layout, but it was going to get rid of it. And I said, no, you're not. So I acquired it from them. Now, where I'm stood here, this side of the layout would have been the operator's side. The side that's connected to the layout would have been the viewer's side. So it was built with the shed with the windows on that side. As you see my fingers through them. So people could see into the shed from the viewing side. Now, I'm operating this TMD from this side, and viewership is from this way. There was no windows here, but there is now. But you can't see through them. They're false windows. And what I actually had to do was very carefully, I got a camera and photographed the real windows on the opposite side, on the correct side. I asked very kindly Steve Smith of Railway Laser Lines to send me some window frames that actually go on that side. And then I printed out the pictures of the windows, stuck them on and put the window frames over the top. And now it looks like the actual windows should be there.
Yeah.
So you get a view as what would have you thought of being a view into the shed. So this TMD didn't come with this fueling point. I've added this in. The original entry onto this was actually from this track here. This was the entry into from the other part of the exhibition layout. I've changed it so it fits this layout, and I added these fueling points in here. These are Nightwing fueling points, and I could just move those out of the way. I created the hard standing around them, weathered it up, and then ballasted all the track and put the walkways in around this area. And I've done a lot of a big series on that weathering. It's still not finished. It still needs a lot of work doing on it, but I'm really pleased with the outcome of it. And it works very well. It is lit up as well. There is lighting underneath there, and that's using Westlow Wagon Works batten lighting kits. And that's, again, very impressive kits. Come over to this side. We've got the engines, we've got sidings and the carriage works as well. So that's the TMD. And then we go back to the main layout over here. This is where the 4 tracks are again. 3 tracks lower level, 1 track now back up on the upper level. That used to be all built up already with retaining walls, but I ripped it all out when I decided to lower the upper level down, to bring it down. You see the foam risers just there. So that's all got to be redone. The 3 tracks separate there. 2 tracks go into 1 tunnel portal, and then a single track goes into a single portal there underneath the bus depot. And the upper track comes round the back of the bus depot, over the road, over the pedestrian crossing with a retail park over in the corner. And then we get the 3 tracks that come back out, the 2 main tracks and the single track. Single track meets up with the TMD line, and the main track split 2 platform lines through the station. I'll just give you a low level view. Hopefully the view will be okay. I can't quite see that. So this is the area prior that I was on about. I've done scenics before, and I thought my scenics were fantastic. I think it was okay, but I am going to do a lot of revisiting to this scenics now. We'll continue through the station. Excuse the mess. My control panel, which operates all my point work, operated by the DCC Concept CDU. 16 points in total. So I've got the biggest thing on the back area there. You should probably see the back scene. I'm not sure if have you seen the back scene before, Andy?
I have, yeah. Is it Bristol?
It is indeed. Very well spotted. It is indeed Bristol. I'm not sure if anyone knows the Bristol area. That there is Bristol Cathedral. There is a section of the back scene which has been cut off from that area there. But this will probably give the game away. If I remove this Premier Inn from here, if you look carefully, I have cut off the very bottom, but you can see some like things sticking up, and also them cones. That's actually Bristol Harbour. They're the masts from the boats in the harbour. Thankfully, fortunately, the way the back scene has been positioned, you can't see the harbour, so it just looks like a good industrial city scene. And that was produced. That back scene was printed and produced by Jeff.
So Jeff's
also a member of Warley.
Another member of Warley, yeah.
Yeah. A lot of the buses on the layout, the likes of this one here, they're replication of actual buses I've driven.
Okay.
That's the Crewe and Allstage Manchester Metropolitan University transfer bus. I've driven that in real life, and that's one of the reasons why I've got a bus depot on the layout, as it's back to my history of bus driving. Made my own petrol station there.
Is that a Metcalf?
No, it's Scale Scenes, I think.
Is it Scale Scenes? Okay.
I think it is Scale Scenes. Can't lift that. It's solid, but I put the lighting into it. I did the forecourt, did it grey to make it look like concrete. Produced some fuel lines there for the tankers to come in and fuel up the tanks. That's using broken street lights.
Okay.
If you look at the street lights I used, I had some of them that broke, so I took the light off them and kept the post, glued 4 of them together, and they look like fuel pump lines where the tankers come and fuel up the petrol station. So we'll go across the main station front, and again more buses that I've driven, and you see that one there if it'll focus. It says Crewe on the front, Route 20. And this is subject to be changed eventually to a more modern day view of the actual Crewe station. This is a Metcalf station kit that's been highly modified with their footbridges and has achieved pretty much what I wanted, but that will in the future become a more modern station. The 4 lines of the station, look through there. Those piers that you see, I'll just take this one out. These are
Those Hornby, aren't they?
Yes, I forgot what you call them now. Towers for putting your track on the top. I trimmed off the top, smoothed them all out, and they make excellent pillars. Pillars for underneath the layout, underneath that upper area. This fellow there, that one's not glued in yet. I need access to the underneath the track. But yeah, they gave a really good representation of underneath. And then we come back over to this corner here. We've got the upper level sweeps around the chimney breast and all the big track work, the big junction for Barnabas Junction. This is the junction. The upper level there was originally going to have the church and the pub on it. That's now going over to the other side, and that's going to become. Initially, was thinking of putting a farm on there or an equestrian centre, but I'm now going to put a caravan site on top of there.
Okay.
Following the eyes of Dean Park with his caravan site, that's what's given me the inspiration for that.
It's a nice corner filler, isn't it? Really, something different.
Yeah. I'm quite looking forward to getting on with that, and that pretty much takes you back now to where I'm doing the scenic. So when all that scenery is done along here and worked up, that will then connect it to where the station is finished, and then I'll make progress further around the layout the opposite way, and we'll take you back to the bridge. So that's a tour of Barnabas Junction for Warley. I hope that I didn't bore you all, and you got reasonably good views, because I apologize, I couldn't see the computer screen to see where the camera was pointing.
Yeah, no, it was good, very good. So you've been a member of the Warley Club now for got to be almost 12 months.
Yeah, absolutely proud to be a member. It's brilliant. Definitely recommend anybody. If you're not a member, even during these difficult times, there's a lot going on behind the scenes with members and their layouts. Highly recommend. Join up. There are lots of different membership levels, isn't there? Yeah,
there is, and I've printed everything off today, so I've got so I can actually know the prices. It's actually planned. So yeah, you can become a full member, which at the moment is £81 a year, which sounds a lot, but you can pay that monthly. We currently got 25% off our subscriptions at the moment because of the club being closed because of COVID. But a full membership enables you to come to the club whenever the club is open. So we open Tuesday evenings, Wednesday, Friday evenings. The club, a lot of the members visit during the daytime, so generally there's a chance there's members around at Tuesday daytime. Definitely on a Wednesday daytime we have members in the club. Some weekends. So again, once you get if you join a group and get involved with a layout, you generally know what days they meet and you can get involved. So, but £81, I think it's something like £8 a month if you pay monthly. But it's the price of a cup of coffee once a week, which is nothing really. That gives you access to the NEC, to the show. So if you take the price of the NEC ticket, that brings the price down heavily. Yeah. And also, obviously, we want people to help out at the show as well. So if you are a member, if you can give a few hours on the day to help out doing simple jobs, especially if you're available for the Thursday or the Friday especially, you can get behind the scenes and help out. It is appreciated because it is a big show to put together.
And a lot of chairs need to be put out.
A lot of chairs, a lot of tables, just simple things. You haven't got to be technically minded. Just if you're prepared to come along and help out and put a few chairs out and help set up tables and help with moving vehicles around the hall. It's all part of. At least you're part of the club. Yeah. And if you do help out, we will feed you. So, you'll get a bit of lunch. If you come and do a 2-hour shift on the Saturday or the Sunday, we can sort you out with a lunch, and it all goes to help.
Benton Road Model Railways just said, "I'm too far away to be a member." You can be anywhere in the world to be a member.
You can be anywhere in the world. So we've got lots of different memberships. So we've got the full member, which is with the 25% off this year, is £81 for the year. So if you want to pay monthly, just divide that by 12. We've got student members. So you can be a student member from the age of 12 to the age of 18, and that's £33 a year. But you would need an adult to bring you to the club if you want to attend the club. We are going through the child protection at the club at the moment. We're looking at new policies for the club, so I can't go into great detail about that, but it is based around a student bringing an adult person with them for supervision really.
Yes.
But we are looking at that so. Jack, you can join the club. You could be a student member as long as you get a parent to sign up. If you wanted to come and visit, you're welcome to do that. The other membership is out of town membership. So that comes down to £42 a year. And again, that enables you to live, if you live over 50, I think it's 50 miles away from the club, you can be an out of town member. Again, it gives you full access to the club, like the full membership. It just means that you live further away. And the most popular one is the associate member. So that's £21 a year, which is about £2 something 30, I think, a month. But that gives you access to the club on up to 8 occasions, excluding open days and weekend events. But it gives you access to the club 8 times a year. You can come along, you can get involved. You still get all the benefits of the club's mailman, which is where we share emails about what we're up to. You can use the library. You can ask the librarians questions. If you're as an associate member or an out-of-town member, if you say building GWR panniers and you want help, you can contact the library. Have you got a book about panniers or whatever? And they'll either if you want them to photocopy pages out the book, they'll send you photocopies. If you want the book, I'm sure they'll lend you the book if you're prepared to pay the postage, and then you post the book back. You can do, all that information is there. We've got all the magazines you can borrow. So if there's an issue of Railway Modeler in 2009 and there was an article you wanted to see, if you contact them, for a small donation, they'll photocopy the pages and send them to you. So there's lots of benefits of being a club member, which I know you benefited from already, Jason.
Yes, indeed. Proud to be a member. Obviously, I helped with the virtual events, bringing that to the viewers and the members. And I believe, I know from talking with yourselves and all the other guys that everyone thoroughly enjoyed it, and I'm pleased that it was a success.
Jack said it's too far away. Could Jason be my adult?
His mum's not interested. Just going. Hidco East says, Jason, does Jeff sell those vaccines? Yes, he does. And he can actually get that exact vaccine. I supplied him with the image, and I've told him he can. That actual image of Bristol is available to buy, and it's. I think it's 14 foot is the maximum length. No, actually, no, I'm wrong.
It's a height. It's a maximum
it's
height.
It's a height with a maximum height. I think it's 2 foot in height that you can do, but I think he can do near enough an unlimited length of whatever's needed. I think he recommends nothing more than about 24 foot though in one go.
Yeah,
as it becomes a bit of a strain on the system, man.
Yeah. But yeah, Jeff's done some printing for me. He's done a vaccine for me, and the quality was fantastic.
The quality of that I have, Hidco. If you go to my channel, there is a video on that vaccine going in, and I go into detail about it, and you'll actually see it in its full size because that is a cut down of what he actually sent me. And when I opened it, I could not believe the quality of it. It is fabulous. It's incredible. That's been up there for about a year now, and it looks like it's only just gone up. It's still looks like new, and I doubt very much it will deteriorate in any way.
If I can find a picture of my my photo plank I did from the competition, the members competition we did last year, it's actually got his vaccine on. So I just
That's right.
There you go. So share, screen share.
I'm going to do.
There you go. So is that come up on the screen, Jason?
Yes, it has. Yeah.
So
that looks really nice. That does.
So Jeff actually did this for me. What he did is he got the back scene, and then he found a piece of canal, and he actually.
Right. Do you know what? I never spotted that bit.
He photoshopped the canal into the back of the back of into the back scene. So when you look underneath, you can actually see the canal disappearing into the distance rather than just disappearing sort of thing.
Added a little bit of touch, doesn't it?
It does. It makes and he gives you a lot more depth.
Yeah,
and I suppose that's where Jeff sort of he comes into his own, because you can personalize what he's doing.
One of the things he does, if you've got a picture of yourself, ask him. He might even be able to modify maybe a panoramic picture you've got yourself. You may be able to even make a personalized back scene out of one.
Yeah. The one thing I will recommend though is, if you are going to buy these back scenes, instead of using PVA, spend the extra money and go for some like a back scene glue. This is Deluxe Materials. It's ideal for doing these back scenes because it's quite a thick photo paper he uses. And that made a big difference.
So I can actually vouch for PVA because mine's put on with PVA.
Okay.
I got a long length of plywood. I think it's 5mm ply, so it wasn't too flexible. It was got a good bit of sturdiness. Put it in place, but before I did, I completely coated the ply in PVA to seal it, and then once that had dried, I then got PVA again, and I did I water it down or did I put it neat? Oh, I put it neat. I got a paintbrush and just literally bit by bit PVA'd it on, but at the same time made sure it smoothed it out, because that's the only problem with PVA, with it being quite thick. When it first goes on, you can end up with a bit of a ripple. But I smoothed it out really nicely, and then just laid it down lovely, and then got a soft cloth, a chamois or something like that, and just basically like wallpapering, really, just smoothed over it. And so that was put on with PVA, and there's not a single bubble in it. It's smooth as a baby's bum, as they say.
Perfect.
It's all down to experience, I suppose. If you can find a way of working with PVA, you can make it do what you want it to do. But there are products, like you say, that Deluxe Materials products. I know that is really good stuff. I know it is. I've seen what it's been used for, and the outcome of is fantastic. I will always recommend it, but PVA is okay as long as you know how to manipulate it.
Absolutely, it's all practice, isn't it?
Yeah.
So one of the other things I've been doing, which I put on the video a few weeks ago, is I've been working on this old Airfix GWR pannier.
Oh. So
I filmed the prime of when I primed it on here. But basically, I've just given it a coat of fat black, which is Tamiya XF1.
Yeah.
I've got Mr. Metal Colours. So I've got a bit of these paints here. So this is a copper colour. So it's I've got aluminium, and I've got dark iron, which is that one there. But the good thing about these paints is you can paint them on, and then you can buff the surfaces. So I've got one paintbrush I use for metalizer paints all the time, which is that one there.
Yeah.
The advantage of using one paintbrush all the time is I never clean the paintbrush.
Right, so when you put it back into the product, it reactivates what's already in the paintbrush.
Because it's a metalizer paint, you can use it for dry brushing.
Yeah.
So I tend to paint what I want to paint, and then I go around it with the dry brushing. And you know, especially things like rivets. Again, I don't know if you'll see. I don't know if they'll step out, but I think you might work on this. Forget the steps. To show the step. It might be too dark.
Yeah, a bit dark.
But the idea is, if you dry brush the step, you'll get a bit of a glint on the edges and the corners. It shows where you've got wear. So where the handrails, where you've been grabbing the handrails, it shows wear and tear. You can buff the paint to quite a high shine. So when you do, you know, the linking underneath, again, once you paint it on, you can go back over once it's dried and give it a rub.
Yeah.
It makes a mess on your fingers because it leaves a film, but you can get like a highly polished surface. And because it's a metallizer paint, it does give it that metal feel rather than just being, you know, Tamiya aluminium or silver paint. And again, with the buffers, you know, it's quite a nice, again, because you've got the light behind, it's hard to see. But yeah, I've just done a flat black. I'll give it a gloss coat. So it's a semi-gloss finish now. I've got the decals to go on now next, and then I'm going to weather it down and add some real coal, and that should look quite nice when it's done. But that was an old Airfix kit. Alf gave me in the club. So you can see how old the box is.
Oh yeah.
But Alf, the old club chairman, he said we're doing. I don't know if you remember seeing the Cradle to the Grave project.
Yes.
Ian Carter did. So I did one. That the first one I did, I just rusted up to Barry Scrapyard. This one, it's going to be on the way there, but it's not going to be as rough. So, but yeah, that's quite interesting. So I'm tempted to do the weathering part live with an airbrush and see how much of a mess I can make.
I do have an airbrush. I have a compressor and an airbrush. It needs cleaning because it is second hand. It's but I'm still scared to try it.
I love my airbrush. My airbrush is here. The whole of my system is here. If I can, if I switch cameras, this is where you'll see the mess in here now because it's. These wires are all tangled up. I can't because it's all tangled up. But I've got it's all there. I've got my compressor and airbrush, and I wouldn't be without my airbrush now. You know, I do some things by hand painting, but the majority of stuff I paint is airbrush. You know, even figures I'm painting, even paint figures now with an airbrush. So that's just the skin coat to start with. But that's going to be the cruise inside the loco. But I do the rest by hand. But I've got some magnifying glasses because my eyesight's getting worse as I get older.
Yeah, I find I actually have to take my glasses off to look at stuff close up now.
Oh, I'm the other way around now. I was fine up until the last few months, and all of a sudden I'm starting to go. I need a bit more. I need a bit of help. With I can do most stuff. I'm fine with. Little detail. I need some help now.
Excellent.
Getting old.
Right.
So, what else have you got? I'll do a bit of modelling if you want to do a bit of modelling.
I'm just thinking if to just show people a bit of this static grassing with the applicator. Pretty much a bit like I did on my video yesterday. So what I have to do is I need to put the camera. I'll just move my microphone out of the way. I have to need to put the camera on the tripod so I can point it at the grassing area. So bear with me while I spin things around a bit.
Well, what I can do before you could go to that, I can show you what I'm building a small diorama for that logo to sit on. So one of the things I did this morning, it only took me 10 minutes.
Build, yeah, that's good, guys.
The baseboard.
Now, is that foam?
It's foam, yeah. So it's a small piece of ply, half cut of plywood. the blue insulated foam, a couple of layers of cork. So I've got the track. So I've got a bit of a track bed, and then I've got a piece of DCC Concepts ball head track. Now, what I do, all I've done is no nails to foam to the wood, and then I used Copydex to cork, and then Copydex to track down, so you've got no trap pins. One thing I like to use on top of that now is some Sculptor Mold. So it's great stuff. This is where I make a proper mess all over.
Yeah, I do believe it's good stuff, but it's very messy stuff.
So Chinese tub, just ease of use. Palette knife and some water. Just add your water to the Sculptor Mold. So just mixing it up in the tub. Add a bit. You can make it quite wet, or you can make it a bit sticky, a bit thicker. I tend to make it thicker because it dries quicker, but it also means you've got less time to work the product.
So you want that? It's set up with this static grasp.
So all I'm doing is mixing it up to the consistency of cottage cheese. So to be fair, I'm not making much of a mess. I'm doing quite well. I'm quite proud of myself at the moment.
You're not doing it right then if you're not making a mess.
But the idea is that's quite a rough surface on there at the moment. But by adding this to the top, there you go. So all I'm going to do now is it's like plastering almost. If you do some plastering, so you get your piece of seam and then just apply that over the top.
All right, yeah.
And you just keep pick it up with your knife. I've probably got too much now. I probably don't need as much as this.
Bear with me.
And straight away, I've got quite a nice, you got quite a nice embankment for me now. So you got.
Paul says he's always used polyfiller. Works for me and could be cheaper. Polyfiller is okay, but it does not like climate change. So if you're in a room that's can be cold one day and then hot another day, you will find it will dry up considerably and crack. Unlike Sculptor Mold, it's got a bit of a flexibility, into it.
I've used polyfiller in the past, but the problem is if you go too deep, it does tend to crack a lot, and it also takes quite a while to dry. I know this stuff is not the quickest in the world at drying, but I think this gives you a bit more play time. It's a bit more forgiving. Because I can get this on looking quite rough, let it dry back slightly, and then you can go in and and manipulate it. And
I found that wood fill is good for doing. I used them to create my own level crossings.
Oh yeah,
wood filler was excellent because I needed to have something that would flex with atmospheric conditions up here in the loft. Wood filler is good for that because it has that advantage against polyfiller. So I created my level crossings, and I can agree that it did actually work with the coldness and the warmth up here. it does, even when it's dry set, it's still got a little bit of flex in it and manipulated with the tracks around the level crossings to obviously heat expansion and contraction and stuff like that, without it cracking. I have got one crack, and that's because I went and accidentally banged it and it dislodged it, and it cracked. But I just paint over that crack, but it just adds to a road surface anyway. But yeah, wood fill is really good for making your own level crossings. It's very much like the texture actually of Sculptor Mold. It's a lot thicker than polyfiller, and it does dry a lot faster than polyfiller.
There you go. That's now done.
Oh, that's all right. Huh?
Looks all right, doesn't it? So how long did that take me?
A couple of minutes.
Oh, shit. Now I've just caught it with my finger. But yeah, so but this part of the, okay, it's only a small diorama, but it just goes to show I think I spent 20 minutes so far working on it, and straight away you've got the basics of a basic embankment.
Mm-hmm. I'll just actually grab something to show. You're talking of dioramas. If I can get this without breaking anything. This is a small diorama I produced. It has got a bit battered since. And that book does actually go on there somewhere. I can't remember how it goes on. Screw on there somewhere. But this is a little diorama I made.
That's scale model scenery baseboard.
Yes, and it's all scale model scenery products apart from the track, which is, I can't remember what the track is, but it's fine. I know it's fine scale track. The platform I scratch built myself, and the ramp up to the platform I scratch built that. Everything else on here, I'll take the bus off actually, so it's out of the way. Everything else on here, including the station sign, which will fall over in a minute, is all scale model scenery kits. Yeah, so it's fine scale track. I'm sure it is. It's done as just a basically. In fact, it's falling over now. Look, oh, there it goes.
There you go.
He's re-gluing back on. It got knocked off when it was in storage. But yeah, quite pleased. That was my first real proper bit of scenic work I ever did using some proper scenic products, and I was quite impressed with that. And it has got a good little touch to it. I'll say that the platform, I made that totally myself out of card, and then covered it in the scale model scenery platform sheeting, and yeah, it's all right.
Good stuff.
Oh, there it fell over again. Never mind.
But I like doing dioramas and stuff like this because it's a good way to practice your skills.
That's right. I've learned a lot doing that. So yeah, you're right.
Something like this has cost me pence to make. It's an off-cutter foam, scrap of foam. It's a handful of Sculptor Mold, an off-cutter, the end piece of track that I'd cut down for the station area. So it's just making use of all your bits, and hopefully once this dries off, I'll put some. Maybe next week I'll do the ground cover, and then start adding static grass, which we'll do as part of a video in a future video.
And talking of static grass, I'll do again what I did yesterday and go over a small section of this old hillside, if you like.
Yeah, be good.
show how you can resurrect previously not so good work. So I'm just going to move the camera now.
So I'm going to drop out the stream and put you on full view, Jason, if that's okay.
Yeah. Right, so just get the camera in position. So yesterday on my live stream I did show how this was kind of resurrected from not looking too good to looking much better. You can see just here, this more greener area. This is an area I did. It still looks a little white in places. It's the PVA is still drying. It's not fully dried. But if you look at, it doesn't really show it very well under this light. There is a light on my camera. Let's just see if that'll make it look a bit greener. No, it doesn't. It looks better like that. So that's what I've done previously using previous products. And what I did as a demonstration yesterday was how easy and quickly. Now this goes for even anything that's not already done. You can do this on a blank canvas, like pretty much what that is over there. I would show you here now, but I've got some plans to do on there first. Well, what I'll do is I'll show you here. So the area I've done previously yesterday, that area between my two fingers, that's an area I resurrected using some WWS scenic grasses there. And I started that off, applied a PVA coat, which I'll go through in a moment. And then I applied in different layers of different lengths of grass. So I haven't got much of this left, but I did 2 mil autumn. Then I followed it on by 4 mil autumn. And then again, I'll just try and grab it. And you can see I've not used hardly any of this. And then I did a quick coating of the 6 mil autumn. As you can see, I've used a lot more of the 2 mil autumn totally. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you doing the next area, which is roughly from there. I'll do this area here, because this eventually is all going to be redone as well as I'm doing it here. So I'll just move the camera back a little bit. Now there are various different products you can get to glue static grasses down. And by all means, try with different products. All I'm doing, and I'll just grab it, is pretty much just this school PVA. It was a 2 litre tub, still plenty left there. I've had this about 1.5 years now, and I paid £5 for this. That's all I'm using. It's not watered down whatsoever. This is neat, and I've got some in a jug here, and literally I've just got a paintbrush, and all I do is this. Now this is obviously going over what I've already done. I'm stippling it in so it gets it down into the current grasses. Now, if you're doing an area that's not grassed already, this will go on a lot smoother. It doesn't have to be anything special. Just literally layer it on. The thicker it is, the longer it'll take to dry. And you can see, like there, you see that ridge on the camera. There is a ridge there. So on top of there'll be like a lot lighter grasses. Below there'll be a lot darker, deeper, thicker grassing. And I'll show you what I mean by how we're going to work on that in a moment. So I'm just basically working the PVA into the current grasses that are already there. So it pretty much it's flattening anything that's already there. Because it was okay for my skills at the time, but it wasn't exactly fantastic. I wasn't superbly impressed with it over time. When I first did it, I thought it was fantastic. So over the top, don't need too much, don't need to thicken it on too much. Just whatever you do put on, just literally spread it out, coat over what you've already done. I say this is resurrecting a previously done area to improve it with what I would say is, for me, a more advanced level of scenic skills that I've learned over the past few months. So I'm just doing the back area now over to the far side of the tracks, up to my ballast, but obviously keeping it away from the track itself. I don't want to have to clean that track off. It's highly recommended to mask off any areas that you don't want to attempt to cause any problems for future. Saves having to clear up afterwards. So that's nicely coated now. It's not too thick, but it's thick enough to allow the sticking of the static grasses. As you can see, it's nicely flattened down previous black grasses. So that's literally just a small amount there. Now I'm going to apply, first of all, it's recommended to start with your low level. So I'm going to go with 2 mil static grass. You can see there's not much in there, but I will not end up, that will go on that well. We'll probably end up with still a bit left of that. So using the Pico Scene, which is a World War Scenics one, it's rebranded, with the standard gauge that comes with it. We're going to just take the camera back a bit further so you can see that in there. So we still have some in there actually from yesterday when I did it. That's actually 6 mil. So I'm going to take that out first. I've got a little pot. Yeah, I'm going to pop that into a pot because I'll be using that again shortly. Okay, let's just tip that out. So we just literally tip them in. So I'm going to tip all that lot in there that's left. So that's now empty. Yep, they're empty. And there it is. As you can see, there's not that much in there, but it's more than enough for what we'll need for this area. And with this particular gauze, because it's quite a large open gauze, with 2 mil, do not just literally tip it right over, otherwise the grasses will literally just fall out. It's recommended to use it tilted at an angle and just literally sprinkle it out as if you're adding salt to your chips. So we switch it on. It's now on. And to get rid of the myth of the other end must touch the glue, that is completely incorrect. You don't need this in the glue. All you need it is near, I'll just turn it off for the time being, near the bottom of the gauze to attract the grasses out. I'll switch it back on. And literally, we just do that. And I can see it already shooting out and covering over the grass that's previously there. And I don't need it too thick. I'm trying not to tip it over too much. As I said, that's not what you want to do. And that, I'll just do here on this side. There it goes. It's coming out. There we go. That's the 2 mil done. That is now coated in the 2 mil. I'll just turn it off. There we go. And let's have a look. How much have we got left? So you saw how much went in. And there's still that much in there. Still quite a bit in there. So I'll put that back in the bag. So we've not even used half. There's the camera. Not even used half of what was in that bag. Shows this stuff will go a very, very long way. Now, we're going to then reapply another layer, but now we're going to go up to a 4 mil to give it a more of a deeper looking grass, over more of an overgrown look. So don't need too much. I think I probably have put a bit too much in there, but there we go. That's now 4 mil autumn mix. Now you don't need to reapply with any more mixing, because what we're going to do is going to add the static grass layering spray. So give it a spray, a sprinkle. This is how easy it is. I'll take you back to that area. You can already see the colour difference between the previous and the new, even under this light. You can see the difference in the colours. And literally all you do from a distance, quick spray over like so. That's it. That's all you do. And straight away now we can now go on to, and I'll take you a bit closer. Here you can see the colours a lot better now, and you can see actually the ridge there in the hill face where it's slightly darker. So again, now with the longer grass, you can tilt the applicator up a little bit further. So we're switching it on. And we've got the layering spray on. And again, all you do is hold that and sprinkle that on like so. And you don't need as much this time. That is pretty much it. That is pretty much all that's needed for the 4 mil. And straight away you can see how dark that has achieved it, and you're giving you the levels of different areas in the hill face. So I'll switch that off. I'm going to say we've hardly used any of that. See, hardly any. So I'll put that 4 mil back in the bag. Fasten the bag up, and with the final bit we're going to add some 6 mil, which I've already got that I was using yesterday. There's 6 mil. I'll place that in the pot, and I say we won't be using hardly any of this because we want to give it a very good mixing of totally random. So again, layering spray. I want certain areas to be extra thicker. So down this area here, I want it nice and thick down here. And again, on the forearm side, and maybe just up in the middle area there as well. So I'm going to aim the layering spray just in them areas. That's it. I'll just come over this area a bit, so I'll mix it in. There we go. So it'll now only stick to where I've applied the layering spray. It will obviously go onto the other areas, but when I come to clean it off, it won't be as bad. So again, it helps if I turn it on. So again, we now apply 6 to give a thicker view. I'll just tap it on there. And again, around this side. And you notice I'm not putting it anywhere near. Obviously it's thicker, so you have to give it a good shake. And we can add a little bit to the top, but it's mainly focusing around the bottom areas. And that's it. Yep, that'll do. Turn that off. Let's place that over there, out of the way. Move these grasses. So you can now see, I'll move the spray. You can see the contrast in the colours compared to what I did initially over here to the now nice darker colour and greener area. Obviously where the spray has not been attached, when I come to clean it off, that will hoover up on the ballast area, but that's fine. It's all loose there. It's just coming up with the fingers. So let's take it in for a closer look at that. Oh, there we go. See if I can tilt the camera a little bit. So here you got a good view of the really darker area of the grassing. That will darken a little bit compared to what it actually is. over time. As it dries a bit, it will lighten up, darken up in areas. We've got a good, nice ridge here. It's hard to really tell on the camera. I'll just try and get a bit of a pointer so it stands out. So here, there is a ridge there. You can see where it's slightly darker, but then it's lighter here. And then it's darker again at the bottom. And again on this side, you can see it gets lighter there, but it's darker in certain areas. So it does a great effect. And it's as simple as that. That just took me a couple of minutes. But obviously, it would take even less, really. If I was doing if I was doing the whole lot, I could have probably done all that entire area there all at the same time, very, very quickly. And that is something I'm going to be working on over the next few weeks here on the layout. I am doing my scenics on a weekly show on my own channel for Barnabas Junction. So if you want to see any more further developments on the scenic progress, then please come and join me and check me out. So yeah, that's how it goes. So Andy, are you there? Or has he gone off? Has he gone to the loo? There he is.
No, I'm back.
What do you think, Andy? Did you see that? You can see the difference?
I did. I had to disappear for a second because my doorbell rang when I was.
Oh, right.
So I did.
Yeah,
I've actually had another delivery today, another parcel.
Oh, just had a delivery. Live delivery.
We're talking about the plastic for the road surface. And this is what I bought. I don't know if you can see. So that's the name of the website there.
Ah.
But it's a sheet of 0.5mm polypropylene, it's called.
Right.
The idea being, if I step back, you can see it's just over 1 metre.
Yeah, so you get a big long strip.
Yeah, so I can put it down on the road, and it means I've got less sort of less
joinage between sections.
Yeah. So hopefully I'll get I'll get a better road surface because it'll be smoother. But talking to Richard, the biggest issue I had is with the joints. So with the photo paper, if you got sort of in landscape mode, you've still got only sort of 12 inches at a time.
Yeah. So you get people in for a closer look.
That looks really smart. Looks good, Jason.
So you get a good visual effect of the grasses. Yeah, I really do like these products. I recommend them to anybody. It goes such a long way. What you use. Matt Strong says, when was the last time you travelled on a smooth road, Andy?
When I passed my driving test. It's more the case of when you look at this little Mini, which I'm going to hopefully get in. You look at that. Double O scale Mini, that size, and the size of the wheels. Even a piece of, a thickness of a piece of paper. Which is, probably less than 1 millimetre thick. That's going to make quite a big difference to the wheels on this thing. It's tiny.
Yeah.
So the less joins I can have, the better, really. But that's my thinking anyway. And I know Richard's changing his road surface because I was talking to him about it, and he put me onto that stuff. So I know Richard's got quite a long run on his roads. So yeah, it's a case of trial and error, isn't it? Really, try it and see what happens.
I look forward to seeing progress. So
this is now starting to dry. It's starting to dry back now because I use quite a thick mixture. So lick my fingers.
And you can smooth it off.
You can smooth it back down now and take away any imperfections. It's still wet, to be fair. I don't need I don't really need to lick my fingers. It's still very, very wet and damp.
Don't lick your finger again. Wipe it first.
I'm a tramp. I'm an absolute tramp. I am. It's only it's like paper mache really with a bit of it is paper mache, plaster of Paris in. So it's not going to hurt you. It's not going to. It doesn't taste nice, but it's not going to.
We don't recommend you do this at home. Please don't try this at home.
Yeah, don't be like me. But straight away, I've spent a few minutes, just giving it a bit of a rub, and it's moving off now. And so you can work it, and the other good thing is if you've got something like a tire tread. I don't want to put one of my Oxford cars in it, but once it's starting to dry off, if you got like a tire tread, you can run a tire tread through it, and you'll get. In fact, I think I have got something. It's remembering what. I've got one here. No, they're too smooth. But if I got something with tyre treading, you could run the tyre tread through, and then you can get your nice sort of tracks.
You need something like a tractor tyre coming through it.
Yeah, you need a bit, but it needs to be slightly over scale. So you get something like this. You need to be over scale with the tread, so it looks more realistic. But yeah, I think it'd still be too wet anyway at the moment. I need to let it dry back a bit more. But it just goes to show what you can do with 20 minutes work, and I've got to that stage. 5 minutes later, and a bit of brush paint, it'll be painted, and then I can start to get the ground cover on, and then we can do what you've just done with the static grass. And something else I normally like to do is this isn't particularly well painted, but once your track's down, is give it a quick whack over with either a rattle can. So that's rattle can, sleeper grime.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that.
And it just, especially with wooden track, I wouldn't do it with concrete sleepers, but with wooden track, it just takes the plastic look off the sleepers, gives you a nice layer of grime on the rails. And again, it's a really quick job, but it makes a big difference. Again, if you're on Facebook, have a look at the Warley channel, because I know Paul Jones has done the whole of his layout, all his track with sleeper grime, and it makes such a big difference. It looks a lot better.
I've done that on the TMD, and it's made a massive difference. I've yet to get hold of a can and go around the rest of the layout. I will do in time.
The only thing I find with the battle can is it's quite a big spray area. So you've got to really be careful with mask. It's great when you've got a blank board, but you've got to be really careful, because if you've got scenics there already, you can end up just caking the whole of your layout in sleeper grime, and that's where I find my airbrush comes in the most, because you can really
get a more direct spray.
Yeah. So
Matt says, just buy lots of brushes. so right, I'm going to have to shoot now, I think.
Yeah, I think so. We've done a quarter hour, so it's a big one.
Crikey. It's been great. Thank you very much for having me on the Wednesday show. So this is every Wednesday then, is it?
Every Wednesday, 2 p.m. We alternated between our exhibitors and our members. So last week we had Justin on for Scale Model Scenery. The week before that we had Barry Oliver, who's a club member. And then the week before that we had Martin from WWS. So next week we'll be back to an exhibitor. I'm not going to give any clues about yet, but I think hopefully next week will be a good one. I'm still talking to people at the moment, but be one of our exhibitors next week. That's all I want to say for now. But yeah, thanks for joining me today, Jason. It's been good fun.
Very welcome.
Good fun talking to you.
Pleasure to have been on and talk to you, and obviously show people around.
Absolutely, thank you. And don't forget, if you're interested in joining the club, you can contact us through the Facebook page. If you know me on Facebook, just send me a message on Facebook, and we can send you the paperwork out, and you can make you welcome into the club. And as Jason said, there's lots of benefits of being a member. So, yeah,
as well as a great social club as well.
Absolutely, it's a social side as well. You get to talk. And again, some of the local shops. Again, I know you want to go, Jason, but some businesses, if you say you're a Warley member, will sometimes give you a discount off when you go shopping. So there is benefits.
No harm in asking.
You can always try. but thanks again, Jason.
You're very welcome. Thank you very much for having me, Andy.
And we'll see you soon. And thanks for joining us today. And take care. See you soon.
Bye, everyone. Bye.
Bye.